Hello, my name is Peyton Bean, and today I'm going to be introducing you to my course project presentation. So welcome. Today I'm going to be sharing my work on a study that is especially important to me. Over the past 5 weeks, I have been researching a study in which owners reported the age and cause of death in dogs in the UK in 2014. This is extremely important to me, and we will learn why when I break down my research question and reason for topic selection in the next slide. So for my topic selection and my research question is the mean age of mortality in dogs greater than 144.098 months or 12 years? Now, the reason you're going to see that number as a large decimal is obviously due to leap years and 365 plus or minus days in a year. So in early 2021, after 2 years of research, I brought home a genetically tested, thoughtfully, and ethically bred Border Collie. After those years of research and proactivity, I wanted my best friend, as does everyone, to live with them as long as possible and as healthily as possible. This has all led me here to the research and how to create a health and wellness plan that is centered on longevity. While searching for a topic for week 1, I knew I wanted to bring light to that very subject, and I thought the longevity and mortality statistics study would help me to better understand how to create that plan based off how and why the animals in that study passed. So for the hypothesis testing, my null was the mean age of mortality in dogs is less than or equal to 144.098 months or 12 years, and my alternative is the mean age of mortality in dogs is greater than 12 years. And then below we have our symbols. And then for my data source and how it was collected, my data source is there and it's also in our references. And they were looking for the mean mortality ages in months across 25 registered breeds in this study in the UK. Of course, I did use an existing data set for my research question, and this particular data set was collected via an owner-based study or an online survey where they selected at which age what breed they had passed as well as what they died of. And then as far as our descriptive statistics, I have my sample size, which is 25, the mean, which is 126.08 months, standard deviation, which is 16.64, and our 5-number summary, which has our minimum, our first quartile, our median, our third quartile, and our maximum. And then over here on the side, you can see our histogram, which has all of the breeds and the mortality age in which they died, which is by months, actually. So for my confidence interval, the variables for the age of death in months, the lower limit was 119.2 months of age, and the upper limit was 132.9 months of age. So for my interpretation, I think that the confidence interval for this data set is somewhat wide with a low age of 119.2 months and a higher age of death at 132.9 months. The reason I say this is somewhat of a wider range is dependent upon how important those extra months are to an owner. For me, this would be extremely important as a dog owner, obviously, because that range is almost 14 months, which equates to a little over a year. In my opinion, I would like to have my dog for that extra, a year and 2 months. And I'm sure so would everyone else. So for my hypothesis test, as we discussed in our first slide, the hypothesis test includes the following. The null, which is the mean age of mortality in dogs, is less than or equal to 144.098 months, which is 12 years, and the alternative, which the mean age of mortality in dogs is greater than 12 years. Our significance level was, of course, 0.05 with a 95% confidence interval. The distribution was a t-distribution, one-tailed t-test. Our test statistic came out at 5.4133. Our p-value actually was 0.0001, so of course we would, make our decision to fail to reject the null due to p equaling less than 0.05, which in turn the null is supported in this scenario, which I figured it would be, unfortunately. And as we come to the conclusion of the study, my research question asks if the mean mortality rate in dogs is greater than 144.098 months or 12 years. This brings us to our conclusion, which unfortunately does not support the age in question. My research question is a very poignant one to ask, I believe, because we can assume that the mean age of mortality in dogs is less than or equal to those 12 years. And this brings me to the importance of why I did this research on the study and that is the importance of diet, lifestyle, stressors, predispositions, and epigenetics, as well as other factors on longevity in dogs. And I really do think that's really important when we're considering the longevity of our pets, because as a pet owner myself and as someone who wants to work with animals, it's very important to me that we raise those mortality rates, and especially the mortality ages and how they pass. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And then, of course, on my last slide, I have my reference. And thank you so much for listening.